guys, Marsingan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so we got an update in the news a few days ago that the Vegeta family stage of Extreme Super Battle Road is coming. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly when, because when we got the news update for the Goku family one, the stage ended up coming out a few days later than I would have assumed based on when it first appeared in the news. So I'm not too sure. There is a possibility that it could even be up like tomorrow or, you know, 6.5 hours after this video comes out in terms of when events usually drop on Global. So I thought I would go ahead and do the team building guide now. The Goku family one ended up being a couple of days early anyway, but people always do appreciate these guides. So I figured since there is the possibility that it could end up dropping tomorrow, I might as well get the guide put up so that at the worst case scenario, it's up and waiting ready for when the stage actually comes out. And best case scenario, it does come out tomorrow, so at least I got the guide up in time, right? So this is stage 37, Vegeta family. We're going to continue to get the medals to EZA, the Goku and Gohan. Still not enough to actually do it fully yet, so really all you'll get out of this one stage is a few stones and one of those, the little reward statues that lets you trade for some Kais or something like that. Actually, I think the ESBR one has stamina upgrade things in there, which is pretty useful. So in the reverse to the Goku family stage, you only fight Goku family enemies on this stage. So you've got Grandpa Gohan and Kid Gohan, Goku and Gohan, and then Gohan and Goten and Goku in the last fight. So you always have a pure Saiyan enemy. You have a hybrid Saiyan enemy in the second and third fight, just in case there are any units that specify those. I don't think there are in the ones that we're going to go through in this list, but that's something to bear in mind. So as always with my team building guides, we are going to go through my top picks and honorable mentions for the Vegeta family category. Just like the Goku one, the category is very big, although not quite as big. So I have tried to pick out a few top picks that will be very good for this stage, but obviously there are still a lot to choose from. So as always with these guides, if there are any units that you think I missed out or I should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comment section. And of course, if you do find the guide helpful, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's go ahead and jump in here. So straight away, we have Majin Vegeta is one of the best options for the leader. He leads Vegeta family for 170 to all stats and 3 key. And then any units who belong to gifted warriors get the extra 30% for the 200% leader skill. That covers pretty much every Vegeta in the game. So if you want to make a full Vegeta team, you can obviously get all the units under the 200% leader skill. Probably still worth bringing a Trunks though, so you can get the entrance animation requirement for Vegeta to get that extra 30% damage reduction. That really does make a huge difference, especially in Super Battle Road, because Super Battle Road runs basically always get ended by stray super attacks, right? So having an extra 30% damage reduction on your two leaders is obviously going to be hugely beneficial. Unfortunately, his active skill, unless you get really lucky with the enemy attack placements, you're probably not going to get to use it. He has to get attacked 6 times, and then on the next turn you can use it. So realistically, this is only really going to happen if on turn 1 there are somehow 6 attacks in one slot. And then he gets hit 6 times, and then turn 3 you can use the final explosion to basically finish off the fight. But I wouldn't expect to see this all that often, if I'm being honest. So he probably is one of the best bets for the leader. We also have the Vegeta and Trunks. They, of course, they don't have a Vegeta family leader skill in the classic sense, but they lead Bond of Parent and Child or Future Saga, which covers most Vegeta and Trunkses in the game. It's only like pre-Cell Saga Vegetas that aren't on Bond of Parent and Child, and I'm pretty sure almost all Trunkses are on there as well, so you obviously can make a team using them as the leader. These are probably the best option if you do have them, because they hold down slot 1, they're going to be guarding, they do decent damage. Unlikely again that you'll get to use their active skill, because you can use it on turn 3 as long as you have a full Future Saga rotation, but that's probably not the best way to build the team for a Vegeta family team. So other than that, you can only use it on turn 5 if you're below 50% HP, and Super Battle Road fights don't normally go on for that long. So if you have these guys, they probably are the best bet for the lead, even though a lot of the units on the team aren't going to be getting the 200% leader skill, but they can pretty much hold it down by themselves essentially. essentially. So these are probably the best option to use as the leader. We also, of course, have the LR Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Post EZA, he has a 180 leader skill. So in terms of covering the whole Vegeta family category, he is going to give the highest leader skill bonus to a lot of units, because a lot of the units on the team aren't going to be getting that extra 30% from Majin Vegeta or Vegeta and Trunks, so this guy will be giving the 180 to everybody. Post EZA, he's a solid unit defensively, can counter super attacks. He's probably going to be, if you are running him as the leader, I would say you just run him as the 3rd slot floating unit. Just make sure you get his super attack, and then he's going to be raising his defense. Obviously on the 18 key, he massively raises, which is going to allow him to tank most normal attacks for double digits. He has the chance to counter a super, but obviously if that doesn't go off, he absolutely can just get blasted by a super attack. But he can still be a decent unit to run. He doesn't get a lot of great links with other units on the team because he has things like Saiyan Raw, although there are 1 or 2 units that have that, but then don't have all the other links he has. So he's kind of in a weird spot in terms of gelling with the rest of the team, but he does have a better leader skill for a lot of the units, so he definitely is still a worthwhile backup leader, although I don't think he's as good as the other ones that we've mentioned. We also have this guy who post EZA is a 170 lead for pure Saiyans, so obviously that means you'll only be able to build the team with Vegetas, or I guess the Super Strike King Vegeta as well. But yeah, you can only build pure Saiyans. Tarble will be in there too, right? But we're not going to mention Tarble in this video other than that, I guess. So this guy could be a good lead. He's also a decent unit on the team anyway. He can get a bunch of attacks, builds up fairly quickly. Definitely not a slot 1 unit, but he certainly could be useful. The good thing about Vegeta units is even when they have different forms, like the God forms, and so they have links like Warrior Gods, and this guy's obviously on Tournament of Power, a lot of them share these common links like Royal Lineage, Prodigies, obviously Prepared for Battle, Fierce Battle, so definitely fits into the team very well, and you could use him as a leader if you want to run a full Pure Saiyans build. Otherwise, he's just going to be a decent unit on the team and worth considering. Next up we have this guy. He has a Vegeta family lead of 150, so a bit lower. He's still a solid enough unit. He's not really going to be tanking like supers with no item active or anything, but if you pick up a decent amount of orbs, he can still be pretty good. Now, we're not really going to be running a lot of GT heroes allies on the team, so you have to bear in mind he's definitely not going to be at his peak performance-wise, but if you really are short on leader options, he can be pretty good. Plus, his orb changing can be helpful for a bunch of other units on the team, so worthwhile considering, but more of an honourable mention than a top pick, to be honest, for this stage. So then we have some good units to use on the team. LR Majin Vegeta with his EZA. Now, obviously, Ki can potentially be an issue, but if you can get his 18 Ki, then doing the AoE, potentially stunning both the enemies, he can do quite a lot of damage. Obviously, if you're running a Kid Trunks on the team, he gets a little bit of an extra buff. It's hard to get, basically, you pretty much can't get all of his buffs. Because you can't run, there's basically no Bulma units that are good to run on the team. However, you do fight a Goku on the second and actually all 3 fights. So if an enemy includes the name Goku, he gets 2 Ki and a 20% extra chance to crit. So if you have a Kid Trunks on the team as well, that's another 2 Ki. Makes it a little bit easier to get his 18 Ki super for the AoE. Just bear in mind that obviously he's not going to link up with the Int Majin Vegeta if you are running him as the leader. So next up we have this guy. I feel like this guy's the top pick. Like once you pick your leader, you put this guy on the team straight away, right? Because when it comes to Super Battle Road, he doesn't really take a lot of damage. Now ESBR, as the numbers have gotten higher and higher, with no item active, he is still going to take damage from a super attack. But it's not going to be a huge amount, right? It's going to be like maybe 100k at max if it's from like an AGL unit. So very, very good defensive unit. He has the chance to stun on super attack, which is of course very, very powerful for Super Battle Road, and his damage reduction lasts for 10 turns, which a Super Battle Road fight is never going to go on longer than that, so he's definitely a top pick for this stage. And when you're running units like Majin Vegeta that has over in a flash, having this guy there for the extra Ki is obviously going to be very helpful. This guy in slot 1 and then like Majin Vegeta in slot 2, very powerful setup, whether it's the Int one or the LR, so very good. Then we have this guy who EZA'd with the worldwide download celebration, the Super Saiyan Vegeta. He greatly raises defense for 1 turn on super and has a 50% chance to stun, so obviously that can be very, very useful. He has built-in crit chance as well. If there's a movie hero's ally in the same turn, he gets his full buff, so bear that in mind if you're running another like Vegeta, or there are 1 or 2 Trunkses that are movie heroes, to give him that full extra buff. When he has less HP, you get more buffs as well, which in Extreme Super Battle Road is not really difficult. It's very easy to get hit by a super, and then if you do survive, be going into the next turn on low HP, which is then going to give this guy a ton of buffs, so he can be very useful. It's very easy to build teams for these Super Battle Road stages with a lot of stunners, where if you get good RNG, you basically just keep the fight like locked down completely. So this guy definitely can be very, very useful. I think I used him pre-Easy A for the non-ESBR version of Vegeta Family No Item, so he's definitely very useful. Next up we have Great Ape Vegeta. So this guy's interesting. He's got a bit of a weird link set, although obviously he's going to share some links. He's got Royal Lineage, which at level 10 is a good key link. He's got Shattering the Limit Legendary Power. He has Saiyan Raw if you are bringing Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. There is an enemy whose name includes Goku in every fight, like we said, so you will get his entrance animation, which means he gets extra key and extra attack for the rest of the battle. So he could actually be pretty useful. His 18 key super is an AoE. So he definitely could be good. He guards. He definitely actually could be a very useful option. And he has a giant ape transformation that can be activated when HP is 40% or less with no turn condition. So you could quite easily be going into the second or third fight at 40% or less HP and then just transform this guy straight away and actually use his giant form to be able to chip away at the enemies to start off the fight, which is definitely very useful. Next up we have Super Vegeta. Super Vegeta was once the best TUR in the game, aged very quickly due to the hardest content ramping up in damage, but when it comes to Super Battle Road, not as a slot 1 unit, he's still super good, because he gets a guaranteed crit, and then he also has a guaranteed stun, and it only lasts for the 1 turn, but that is incredibly useful, because you can put him in slot 2 or 3, where he's only being attacked by 1 enemy, guaranteed to stun that enemy whilst also doing a guaranteed crit, protects the unit in slot 3 and also does a reasonable amount of damage as well. So I do think this guy is a top pick for the team. You can take the risk of putting him in slot 1, especially if you are using items, because then that gives him the extra attack buff as well, and then he can really do some serious damage. And if he's attacking in slot 1, he's guaranteed stunning, locking down a unit for that entire turn. So definitely very good for this stage. Next up we have AGL Trunks. I thought he'd be worth an honourable mention. He can get off a bunch of supers that each raise his defense for 1 turn. Unfortunately, his transformation literally can't be used until the earliest of like turn 5 if he was on turn 1, which means you're very rarely ever going to see it. When he does transform, he stuns and seals a targeted enemy, which if you do get to that point, there probably is only going to be 1 enemy left. So his transformation kind of seals the W, but it's just very unlikely that you're ever going to see it. So he definitely could be useful. Unfortunately, he has shocking speed instead of prepared for battle, but he does have royal lineage, so obviously if he's fully link leveled, you're still getting 2 key off of that. Saiyan lineage, there's a couple of other units that you can run that will have that. So he could still be fairly useful on the team, but he's more so an honourable mention than a top pick as well. Then we have Bulla, who got her Easy A not long ago. She's got built-in dodge. There's no other Peppy Gals units on the team, so she's only going to have a 35% chance to dodge. Still pretty decent. She's providing 40% attack support as well as 3 key. So she's pretty good for the team in general. She also gets 3 extra key and crit chance when there's a Vegeta on the team, which of course there will be. And then she gets extra attack on super if that ally is in the same turn, which chances are you probably are going to have a Vegeta on both rotations, because this unit is just a floating support. So she could definitely be very useful, but obviously you have to bear in mind, if she doesn't have a lot of defensive capability, so if she doesn't dodge, then she is potentially going to take a lot of damage, but she could certainly be very useful for buffing up the other more powerful units on your team. So then we have this Trunks. I think this guy's very good. Even if you don't have a lot of other Hybrid Saiyans on the team for his support, he can get multiple supers and he has a chance to stun on super attack. So he's just yet another one of these units that could be, if you get good RNG, really, really good for just locking down all of the enemies. And then if you are running any other Trunkses or Bulla, he's going to be providing support to them as well. So I do think he's a worthwhile honourable mention. Plus, if you're running Majin Vegeta, you do want to run a Trunks on the team, as we already said, to get his full buff. So this guy is worth considering to be that Trunks. We also have Super Saiyan 3 Trunks from the Heroes units. Now, he can be a liability because he's a chance to guard unit, but if he does guard, then he is very good defensively. He can fulfill that role as the Trunks on the team. He's also got over in a flash, so he links up decently well with Majin Vegeta, especially the LR Majin Vegeta, because he's a Shattering the Limit unit as well. So that definitely could work very nicely together. If you don't get the guard go off, then obviously he could get slapped around a little bit, but he's definitely a solid option. And another Heroes unit that's really, really good is the Super Saiyan Xeno Vegeta. He's an infinite stacker. He lowers attack on Super, which is useful for Super Battle Road. And then obviously he's providing 2 key and 40% attack and defense to the rest of the Vegeta family units. So for me, he's like a must-run support unit. You just have to be aware that he could potentially take quite a bit of damage because, you know, Super Battle Road, you don't get long to stack up stacking units. So, especially in the last fight, the Gohan and Goten are physical, so they could slap him around a little bit, so you have to be careful about where you put him in the rotation. But he definitely can be very, very good. So, speaking of heroes, there are a lot more Vegeta family units. I'm going to try and do like I did with the Goku family stage and try and do the no item run with a full heroes team. So, we obviously have the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta that has a crossover leader skill, so you can run a full heroes team. Gives the 200% to Dragon Ball Heroes, so he can be very good. On a full heroes rotation, he gets a guaranteed additional super. You're not going to have a Goku, so you can't get the super class allies 40% buff, but he is still very, very good. Chances of you performing 5 supers and getting his full buff is very slim, again, because the event is so short. Even if you triple super in the first or second turn, it's going to take you until turn 5 to have actually done 5 super attacks. So you're probably not going to see that very much, but he definitely can dish out a lot of damage. We also have Trunks, who's a hero's lead for 170 and 4 key. He's really good for Super Battle Road because he seals. He's a Rainbow Orb Changer. On a full heroes team, he has very high stats. He can tank normal attacks for double digits without an item active, as long as it's not type disadvantage. So he can be very, very good. Sealing, obviously, a very powerful effect in Super Battle Road. We also have Great Saiyaman 3 that got his Easy A. He's ridiculously powerful. On a full Time Travelers team where he's getting his full buffs, again, he's going to be able to tank for like double-digit damage, whilst also dishing out a ton of counters as well. So you have to be careful for him. He doesn't eat super attacks well at all, but if you're able to seal an enemy, or you know, like if he's not going to get hit by a super, he can dish out a ton of damage just through counters alone. So he can be very good. It's hard to use him on just a normal Vegeta family team because you do want to get the as many Time Travelers allies as possible. But thanks to his Easy A, he can still have reasonably good stats, even if the team isn't full Time Travelers. So using these units, it definitely is possible to make a full Heroes Vegeta family team. It's going to be a bit more difficult to go for the no item run with that team, I think, but I'm definitely going to give it a try. Because we also have units like Dark Mask King that I should have mentioned. As long as you have another Heroes unit on rotation, he guards, he heals based on the damage he does, so he'll be pretty useful. LR Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta could still see some use. This Trunks is a good free-to-play option that gets extra buffs against multiple enemies, so he can be pretty good. The old Super Battle Road Reward Trunks gets his full buffs with a full Vegeta family team, but he's not really a top-tier unit, if I'm being honest. And then, yeah, there's quite a lot of other big units here we can choose from. Kid Trunks. This guy obviously is the better version of himself if there's a Goten on the team, which we can't run, but he can still be decent by himself. And obviously he fulfills not only the Trunks role for Int Majin Vegeta, but the Kid Trunks part of the AGL Majin Vegeta's passive. There's also, in terms of Heroes units, the Super Saiyan 3 Xeno Vegeta, if you are trying to run a full Heroes team. He's definitely not the best unit, pales in comparison to the Goku, but he could still be pretty useful. So there you go. Those are a bunch of top picks and honourable mentions. There definitely are a couple more units that we could have talked about, so let me know down below in the comment section what your team build is going to look like for this stage. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.